Hey everybody, this is Jennifer. I'm coming to you with another sales update video. You're going to notice a lot of the items are in this video are selling for a lower price. That's because I'm getting rid of some inventory. I'm buying different products now. I'm buying different brands now. And I just don't want to hold on to these items because actually I do not have the space for them. I keep all my items in my home. And the reason I do that is my time is very restricted. I don't have time to go run down to a storage unit if somebody has a question. I like to answer all my questions, like if they want a measurement I missed, or they have an odd question about an item. I like my inventory accessible where I can just grab it and answer that question for them. So everything is kept in my apartment, so I really have to be very careful about how much stuff I'm holding. So you're going to notice a lot of this it sells for a lower price. Also in the summer, you really just got to move things out because, you know, people aren't buying the same way they're buying in the fall and the winter. So, all right, let's get started with the first item. And you can tell right away the picture is terrible, so you know it's old, it's just terrible. You can't even see the colors really. So there's only 3 pictures, and that kind of tells you alone that this is very old. This is a Chaps Ralph Lauren shirt. I call it color block, but I'm not sure if it is. I wanted to use that word because it's a really bold stripe, and I think this came out like in the 90s. So this Chaps Ralph Lauren bold. You can use the word bold, but I use the word color block. Stripe, button up front. I paid $1 for this at the Salvation Army. I eventually sold it for $7.99. Now I could have just taken it and redid the pictures, and I probably could have sold this for $15, but instead I just let it go, and I made about $3 on that item. The next item is a Woolly Pulley sweater, and I didn't make Woolly Pulley up, that's actually the name of it. A Woolly Pulley sweater from Brigade Quartermasters, made in England. Now if you see this, they sell really well. They sell really well even with flaws, I would say acceptable flaws, not a giant hole, but this had about 4 little holes in it, and it's still sold for $19.99. I only paid $3.50 for it, and the buyer paid $27.19, and I made a profit of about $16. I'm going to tell you how much I made approximately. Just remember, it's approximately. I'm not giving you the exact amount I made because I haven't figured it out yet, but it's approximately $16. Okay, this is a Pendleton women's blazer. It's pink. It's size 8, and it had a little spot on the back. And it's wool, and I paid only 50 cents for it at the Goodwill. It sold $14.99 first class with free shipping. So I made about $10 on this Pendleton. I say it's blazer style, but it's really a jacket. All right, this is a Vintage Legends Built Like a Mack Truck t-shirt, and this is the second time I had this exact t-shirt. So I knew as soon as I saw it that it sells, and it gets a lot of attention. I paid $3.50 for this at the Goodwill. It sold for $17, and I made about a $10 profit. This is a Mayfield 4 CD. I didn't know whether this sold or not. I actually just looked it up, and I was just lucky that it did. I paid $1 for it, and I got $25 for it. The buyer paid $34.49, and that's because it was shipped to Canada. And I made about $22 on the CD. Okay, this is a vintage Ralph Lauren button front shirt, plaid. I do recommend, if you have a plaid shirt, to look up what type of plaid it is. There's plenty of websites that show the different types of plaids and the names of them, so because that helps to sell the item. This did have a name written on the inside. It also is a medium. Obviously, if it's larger, it's going to sell better. I did take a best offer on this for $13, so I paid $2. I sold it for $13, so I made about $6 or $7 profit on that. This is a Calvin Klein cocktail dress that I've literally had forever. I paid $1 for it. I took terrible pictures, so that was totally my fault. And eventually I was sick of seeing it, so I took a best offer of $11.99, shipped first class mail, free shipping, so I made about $6 or $7. This is a vintage button front vintage dress, rayon, size 14, so it was a nice big size. It was Decade. I don't think the name means much. That's the brand name. I paid 50 cents and I sold it for $10, so I made about $5 on that. This is a Polo Ralph Lauren men's coat, army or military style coat. Let me show you the tag. Here's the tag. I think that's a vintage tag. I'm not positive. I think that's a vintage. Anyway, I could have made, if I held on to this, I definitely would have made more money. But, you know, sales were a little slow, so I'm definitely willing to let things go in the summer. So this was sold on June 15th. I paid $11.49 for it. I sold it for $35.57. The buyer paid $44.07, so I made about $20 on the coat. Okay, this is a Kobe Bryant t-shirt. It was only 50 cents, that's why I picked it up. I sold it for $9.49. And it was very lightweight, so it was really cheap to ship. So I made about $6 on that. Okay, this is a pair of Chico's pants. It was embroidered, had this cool embroidery on it. I paid 50 cents for this at the Goodwill. I sold it for $13 for shipping, and so I made approximately about $7. Okay, this is another pair of Talbot's crop pants, a size 12. I paid 50 cents for this at the Goodwill. See, a lot of this stuff is stuff I bought on sale. I'm not buying as much as of this 50-cent stuff because the profit really is around it averages around $7, which percentage-wise is wonderful. You're talking about a 1,400% markup. So that's, wow, that sounds great. But these items are usually pretty easy to list, especially the pants. So I usually figure there's about a 20-minute investment in time between picking it up, prepping it, taking pictures, shipping it. So 20 minutes for these pants and stuff like that. But still, when you sell 3 of them an hour, you're making about $21 to $25, you know, if you make a little bit more money. But if I sell 2 coats, which take a little bit more time, so say you get 2 coats in an hour and you're investing more money, but you're making $20 per coat, all of a sudden your hourly profit goes up. See, to me, it's all time. So if I'm making $20 per coat and I can only get 2 coats done in an hour, like all the time invested, I'm still making $40 an hour on the coats. 3 pairs of pants, I'm making $21 to $25. So to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's great to have these items to learn with, you know, these 50-cent, $2 items. But to me, once you start like understanding what you're looking for and you get more confidence and you can confidently buy something for $10 and you know it's going to sell, you definitely, you know, feel good about making that change, because in the end, you're definitely, you know, even though it's a 200% markup opposed to a 1,400% markup, you're still making more money per hour of the time that's invested. So that's the way I'm looking at it, you know, so it's something you just may want to consider. Oh, I don't know if I told you. Okay, I paid 50 cents for this. I sold it for 12, so I made about $6 or $7 on these pants right here. Oh, CC Filson. If you don't know CC Filson, get to know it, because this is just an amazing brand. I could have gotten more money for this, but again, sales are slow for me in the summer. I paid only $3.50 for this at the Salvation Army. Luckily, I'm in an area, well, not luckily, I rarely see anything like this, but when I do, the thrift stores aren't really familiar with it, so they don't market appropriately, and the people that around here aren't very familiar with it, so they don't really pick it up. So I paid $3.50 for it. I sold it for $40 free shipping, so I made about $27 on this sweater, and there was a pull too. Let me show you, first of all, let me show you the label. So that's what you're going to be looking for. And even with this, there's like a little hole right there, a little pull hole. It's still sold for that. So if you find one that's you could get like $60, $70 for this cardigan. Okay, I think that's all I have for eBay. Yeah, that's all I have for eBay. Let's move on to Etsy. Here are two vintage green glass bottles. I didn't know anything about them. I just thought they looked pretty cool, and somebody else thought so too, because I only paid $1 a bottle, so it was a $2 investment. They purchased them for $19.99. They paid a total of $28.69, and that gave me a profit of about approximately $18. Okay, the next item is a pair of vintage brass theater masks, comedy and tragedy. Now, I paid $1 each at a church sale, and these were tiny. These were not like big wall hanging things. They were approximately 3 inches by 3 inches. They were just really tiny. And somebody purchased them for $22.99. With shipping, they paid $36.49 because they went out of the country, and I made about $21 on this. This is why I love Etsy. You can just like find something and just think it looks cool and put it on Etsy and it will sell, because you know, odds are if you think it looks pretty cool, someone else is going to think that too, because that's what they're looking for, items to decorate their home. They're looking for unique items, things that are, just different. So you can really kind of use your creativity more on Etsy than you can on eBay. At least I feel that way. Okay, this was a little vintage 70s collectible toaster, plastic, salt and pepper shaker. So basically, the pieces of toast come out. You can see right here, they come out and they hold the salt and the pepper. And I paid $1 for this at, it was at a flea market. I paid $1, and it sold for $15, surprisingly, and the buyer paid $18.38, so I made about $13 on this little toaster here. And the last item I have is a Flex Felt Vintage Fedora hat. I have sold quite a few of these vintage hats, and I really don't know anything about hats. If it's clean and it's felt and it's wool, especially if it's a fedora, I pick them up all the time. My Goodwill sells all their hats for $2.50, and I don't have a close-up, unfortunately, of but it says Flex Felt. But honestly, it does, as long as it has a name and it has the size and it's fairly clean, I pick them up. And like this one I picked up for $2.50, and it sold for $30. So, and the buyer paid in total $42.74. So if you see these fedoras, these felt hats, definitely pick them up. There's a market for it, especially if you're selling on Etsy. There's a market for it. So I made on the $2.50 about a $27 profit. Okay, that's all I have in sales. But before I go, I'm just going to show you these two websites, because I'm assuming that some of you guys are like me. I did not go to college for business. I do not understand numbers extremely well. It's something I really have to become more comfortable with, and I try to include that in my process as I go along, being more comfortable with numbers, percentages, margins, all these things, because it just wasn't part of my world till I started, doing this. And I actually ran a whole business before without being comfortable with these numbers. I'm thinking it's just, in my opinion, it's just something you probably should do. So I found these two websites, basically to understand margin versus markup in setting prices. I mean, this is something big companies are obviously very familiar with, and I am not very familiar with. So I'm just going to give you these two websites just in case you're like me and you want to become more familiar with numbers and margins and percentages. This one was the most easy to understand with this. It's Yummy Yummy, yummyyummy.com. If you type in Yummy Yummy and markup margin into your Google search, this will probably come up. But basically, it just kind of breaks down margins and markup and what the difference is and how to find both. And if you're like me and you want to learn this, if not, don't worry about it. You don't have to, but I think it's a good idea. And this I found, which is an Omni calculator, which basically gives you your cost, your markup, your margin, your revenue, and your profit. So in other words, if I buy, remember I was telling you if I buy a pair of pants, I generally make, if I buy for 50 cents, I'm generally making approximately around $7 profit by the time it sells. So basically, if I put it in here, the cost is 50 cents, right? And say, I know what I want to make, right? I want to make a $7 profit. It immediately gives you what your markup is, it gives you what your margin is, and if you don't know already, your margin is your profit. So basically your profit of $7 divided by your retail price, which is your revenue, $7.50, and that will give you your margin. But this does it for you, and then you immediately see what you have to do. Obviously, when it gets more complicated, say you paid $7.50 for an item and you want to make a profit of no lower than $50. Okay, so it's going to show you your margin's $86, your markup is $667 if you round it up. And right here, if you're charging shipping, so basically if you know, you kind of know what your fees are. So say your fees are going to be about $3. So you know right off the bat, I look at it this way, right off the bat it's $57.50. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I don't want to make any less than $60. So I know I'm going to be running sales, I'm going to be doing this, so I may want to mark that item at $90, run a sale, but I'm not going to take any less than $60 because I want my profit to be $50 on that item. I just think it's kind of cool. Again, it's definitely not a necessary item, but I just wanted to show you this calculator because I just thought it was kind of cool. Okay, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope your sales are going great, and I will see you next time.